Hi, my name is Keith Slider. My presentation focuses on greenhouse gas and their impacts on hurricanes. The rising of warm temperatures and tide is forcing hurricanes to become more and more prevalent, often causing the loss of human life, wildlife habitat, crops, properties, and causing radical episodes of human migration. Even though hurricanes are a natural part of our climate system, they are becoming more and more intense due to forcing factors underlying climate change. These forcing agents include any influence on climate that originates from outside the climate system itself. Global warming creates conditions that increase the chances of extreme weather, which includes strong winds, tropical storms, and hurricanes. Some of the climate feedback factors are indirect or secondary factors that occur within the climate system in response to a forcing factor. These feedbacks as it relates to hurricanes include, of course, human-induced changes in greenhouse gases, increased population densities along the coastlines, higher sea levels, and lastly, rising sea temperatures. And these factors have been known and observed for decades for having a secondary effect on the development of hurricanes. However, it is worth stating here that human causes, greenhouse gases, is the main forcing factor underlying climate change that leads to rising temperatures of the ocean and then the eventual development of tropical storms and hurricanes. In a warm atmosphere, more water evaporates from the oceans, leading to larger amounts of water vapor in the atmosphere, absorbing more radiation from the Earth's surface and emitting more radiation back, thereby enhancing the greenhouse effect and further increasing the air temperature, water temperature, sea levels, and eventually tropical storms and hurricanes. Yes, greenhouse gases causes global temperatures to increase. Greenhouse gases such as methane, chlorofluorocarbons, and hydrofluorocarbons that linger in the atmosphere for decades, yeah, that's right, decades, can cause sea levels to rise for hundreds of years after the pollutants have been cleared from the atmosphere. In a recent climate model study, a team evaluated sea levels responses to various methane emission scenarios in which the world would continue to emit the gas at current rates until emissions end entirely in three different years: 2050, 2100, and 2150. In all three scenarios, methane gas quickly cleared from the atmosphere and its associated atmospheric warning decreased at a similar rate. However, methane continued to contribute to sea level rises for centuries afterwards. What's more, they found that the longer the world waits to reduce methane emissions, the longer seas will stay elevated. The important takeaway from this model scenario was that we can't just stop emitting gas. It will last in the atmosphere for long periods of time. Hurricane forecasters look closely at ocean temperatures. Sea surface temperatures above 78 degrees, shown here in yellow. By the way, orange and red are sufficiently warm to fuel hurricanes. One example that comes to mind of a local community's experience with forcing factors is with Hurricane Irene. Hurricane Irene impacted Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Some of the obvious effects of a hurricane include loss of wildlife and wildlife habitat, destruction of property from heavy flooding and wind damage, the loss of food production, i.e., manufacturing plants and farms, the loss of jobs and other economic resources, and finally, the loss of human life. Some of the obvious side effects of a hurricane, as we stated, mentions the loss of wildlife. And communities have had tremendous difficulties preparing for events surrounding these types of hurricanes, especially this one. Hurricane Irene has created local emergency preparedness challenges, including damage to social services agencies and the importance of developing effective emergency preparedness plans. So, constant improvement of emergency response and emergency preparedness through the analysis of previous responses to hurricanes is key to improving preparations. Local organizations like the Red Cross and the United Way are vital to mobilizing key assets during hurricane relief and are constantly conducting training and community awareness meetings in areas most likely to have hurricanes. Challenges, of course, also include rapid evacuation of citizens outside damaged zones. This type of effort requires systematic processes for determining citizens who need to be moved with trained medical assistance, medical equipment, i.e., hospital staff, and nursing home patients. Citizens who merely need adequate transportation and response times. It also includes orchestrating temporary accommodations for those citizens' emergency organizations to respond to the needs of the community. In conclusion, greenhouse gases have a major impact on hurricane generation, beginning with anthropogenic greenhouse gases, rising water temperatures, and sea levels. Thus, hurricanes forecasters look closely at ocean temperatures as key indicators for hurricanes. Therefore, we must develop methods to truly manage greenhouse gases, gases like methane, chlorofluorocarbons, and hydrofluorocarbons. An important takeaway is that we can't just stop emitting gas because it will last in the atmosphere for long periods of time. We must truly learn how to manage the production of it.